Welcome to 3Ps on a Pod, the PSHA podcast where you get to hear from the current, past, and future presidents of the Pennsylvania Speech, Language, and Hearing Association. I am Nicole Billak, the current president of PSHA.
Hi everyone, I'm Craig Coleman, president-elect of PSHA. On this podcast, we'll bring you conversations about the challenges and opportunities in our field, highlight important updates, and share ideas that help professionals stay informed, connected, and supported.
And I'm Erin Buckwalter, past president of PSHA. We'll also be talking with colleagues, leaders, and experts from across the state and beyond to share insights, experiences, and practical information that matters to our community. Let's get started.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Nicole Billak, PSHA President, and on today's episode of 3Ps on a Pod, we are going to be discussing legislative advocacy with PSHA's lobbyist, Angie Armbrust. First, what I'm going to do is show you all of the different advocacy platforms PSHA has right now and how you can get involved. So let's take a look at our website. If you go to www.psha.org, or you can say psha.memberclicks.net, this will take you to our landing page right here. And so what you can see over here on the right-hand side, we have a tab for advocacy. And I want to talk a little bit about what each tab is and how you can get involved. So the first one is our Take Action tab. Here we have a system actually in place through Muster, and what it allows us to do is to send letters to legislators within just a couple of clicks. So I'm going to kind of show you how to do that right now. We have our federal advocacy things that we're fighting for, and then we have state advocacy things that we're working towards as well. So what you can do if you're ready to take action on something is you can go ahead and just click on Take Action. This is our communication impairment designation on a driver's license. Over on the left-hand side, it will tell you all about the legislation. You can see there's a little video here from Representative Mark Hosick, who is the primary sponsor of this bill. And all you have to do really is just put your information in here. Put your name, your address, your zip code, phone number. And basically what it'll do is it will send this message directly to your legislator in your district. Now, Angie's going to talk a little bit about writing letters and how to personalize them. Anything you want to personalize, any personal note, you can put right in here, and we encourage you to kind of talk a little bit about things that have happened. Legislators really like to listen to their constituents and use those stories. So anything that you could add here would be really appreciated. Here's our letter. You get to sign it, and then you just hit send message, and that will automatically send directly to your legislator. Takes less than a minute to do, but it's extremely effective. So make sure you take a look at all of those things that we have on our Muster platform. These are our take actions. And anytime new legislation comes up, these will be updated. You'll get an email if you sign up for our emails, and we will be able to stay on top of legislation, make sure that the constituents in each area know, or the legislators in each area know what their constituents are hoping for. So under our Take Action, we also have our advisory panel, and this is really important to help get the word out. For us to be able to effectively advocate for our patients, we need to be getting feedback from them. And so we have decided to start an advisory panel for our clients' parents and caregivers. When we get new legislation, we send it out to our advisory panel and ask for some feedback. We also take members of this panel with us to Hill Day to be able to tell the personal stories, and it has been a very effective way of getting audiences with legislators and hearing their stories. So please make sure that you sign up if you are a parent or a caregiver, and if you are a therapist, audiologist, please make sure that you share this link with all of your clients as well. Next tab down here, we have the Tri-Alliance. PSHA represents speech pathologists in the Tri-Alliance in Pennsylvania between the physical therapists and the occupational therapists. We meet at least once a month to discuss issues facing therapists in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Right now, we have a Tri-Alliance that's working directly with Highmark on prior authorization and value-based care. We're providing lots of feedback in that situation. They're giving us a seat at the table, having us help rather than kind of just giving us something new that we have to learn. So we are actively working with Highmark on one of our Tri-Alliances, and we are also actively working with the Department of Human Services with Secretary Arkush, working on Medicaid changes with the fee schedule. So we have 2 Tri-Alliance groups that are meeting regularly with PT and OT to try and advocate for you. Next down, we have the Constituent Liaison Program. This is if you would like to be a little more involved, but maybe you don't have enough time to be able to put into joining a committee. You can sign up as a constituent liaison. Essentially, what happens is you tell us what district you're in, and PSHA can reach out to you to make an initial contact. Let me give you an example. ASHA called us one day and said that they were looking for someone in Representative Fitzpatrick's district. And so we were able to reach out to our constituent liaisons who are in those areas, and those constituent liaisons were able to make that initial contact and say, PSHA and ASHA would like to meet with you. We have some constituents in your area. Can we go ahead and set up a meeting? Which he did take and was very supportive of all of our causes. So all you would really need to be able to do is either write letters or reach out to your representative if needed. And it's a great way to be able to get involved, really helps us out. So please consider signing up as that. We also have some position statements on here. We have our position statement on some of the autism claims that were made lately, and also on our CPT code 92507. So anytime PSHA is going to take a stance or make a position statement, those will be listed here. We are going on June 23rd to Hill Day. We go at least once, maybe twice a year to meet with legislators. We take committee members, we take board members, students come with us, and we have these direct meetings. And a lot of great things have come out of these meetings. We've made really great gains with different legislators. So anytime that you're hoping to kind of get in front of a legislator, please consider signing up to come to Hill Day. It is a great event for our advocacy. And then finally, we have brand new advocacy resources here. We'll have some basic things on the front page, but also we have school-based advocacy and we have a Medicaid advocacy toolkit. So let's take a look at that really quickly. We have another podcast episode that was filmed here on school-based advocacy. So please make sure if you haven't seen that yet that you do watch that episode. It's also on our virtual learning classroom. So if you have a virtual learning pass, make sure you watch it through that so you can get ASHA CEUs and Act 48 hours for that. We also have a ton of resources, a workload, caseload calculator, impacts of high caseloads, eligibility resources, and those kind of things that can really help you advocate at the local level. So if you are a school-based SLP, this page is definitely for you. And then finally, we have our newest edition, our Medicaid Advocacy Toolkit. And what you can do from the meetings that we've learned on the Tri-Alliance, we have been able to develop a toolkit to help you negotiate these Medicaid rates. We're told very, very frequently that because Pennsylvania is 97% case managed Medicaid cases, that these insurance agencies are supposed to be negotiating rates with us and not just giving us the flat fee schedule. And so to make sure that they do that and that they still have network adequacy, it's important that we gather lots of data that can kind of help support our claims of network inadequacy in certain areas. So we've given you lots of different resources on here as to what to collect, what to say. And also contacting the right people. This is a big one. Sally Kozad, who is the deputy secretary, the Medicaid director in Pennsylvania, wants to know that if you are having difficulty with getting insurance companies to pay a fair rate, please go ahead and CC her on the email. She will step in and kind of help with that. We also have the Medicaid Managed Care Directory. If you click on this, this is going to give you all of the contact information for administrators in each of the areas. You can find which zone you're in and who you can contact to be able to get to the right people. You can see we have email addresses for chief medical officers, presidents, chief administrative officers. If you're trying to negotiate with Medicaid, make sure you're CCing all of these people, sending your information to those people, and also CCing Sally Kozad with Medicaid. So there you have it, our brand new advocacy toolkits. Please stay tuned to listen to Angie Armbrust talk about how a bill becomes a law.
Hello, my name is Angie Armbrust. I'm with McNeese GR, PSHA's government relations firm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, advising the association on state government-related laws, policies, regulation, and news. I will give a brief overview of the legislative process in Pennsylvania and discuss why advocacy is important for healthcare professionals such as yourselves. Quickly, to start, we'll review what this presentation will and will not focus on, because Pennsylvania is a Pennsylvania-centered organization serving as the liaison between the American Speech Language Hearing Association and its Pennsylvania members. We will focus on Pennsylvania political process. PSHA engages in education and advocacy relating to state health policy and legislation on behalf of its members here in PA. So this presentation will focus on the Pennsylvania governor, PA state agencies, and the Pennsylvania legislature. We will not cover the U.S. Senate, congressional representatives, federal policies, or federal programs. Pennsylvania's state government structure has three branches of government: the executive, led by Governor Josh Shapiro; the legislative, comprised of the state House and state Senate; and the judicial branch. Pennsylvania's governor is Josh Shapiro, a Democrat from Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. He is in the fourth year of his first four-year term. He's currently running for re-election. The governor has a cabinet of department secretaries that help move his agenda forward. Some of the agencies that we interact with on PSHA's behalf for you include the Department of Health, Department of Human Services, not listed here, but certainly important, Department of Education, and then the Department of State. The Department of State houses the Bureau of Professional and Occupational Affairs. Under the BPOA are all of the state licensing boards, including the board that issues your license to practice. Our legislative branch here in Pennsylvania is comprised of the state House and the state Senate. Together, we call that the General Assembly. So those terms are interchangeable. If you hear the legislature, the General Assembly, those mean the same thing. Both of those just mean we're talking about the House and Senate together. Our legislative branch contains 253 members. It's quite large. 203 House members and 50 senators. Current makeup of the House is 102 Democrats to 97 Republicans. There are 4 vacancies at this moment, but pre-vacancies, the Democrats held a very slim majority, a 1-vote majority. In the Senate, we have 27 Republicans to 23 Democrats, so slightly more robust majority for the Republicans in the Senate. We're going to do a quick overview of the legislative process. We're going to use an example from a couple of sessions ago. This was actually the telemedicine bill that passed in Pennsylvania. It was titled Senate Bill 705. So a Senate bill is introduced in the Senate chamber. A House bill can also be introduced in the House chamber. This example, we're using Senate Bill 705. Bill gets introduced. It's then referred to a committee that deals with that topic of policy. Bill has to be successfully voted out of that committee and then sent to the Senate floor. On 2 separate session days, the Senate has to give first consideration and then second consideration to Senate Bill 705. After it's successfully received first and second consideration, the bill gets referred to the Senate Appropriations Committee. This is where fiscal impact to the state's evaluated and further review is done. Bill then has to be successfully voted out of Appropriations Committee, which sends it back to the full Senate floor, where it is then eligible to come up for third and final consideration. If it's successfully voted by a majority of the members on the Senate floor on third consideration, the bill then gets sent over to the House. Part 2, the House receives the Senate bill. So even though we're now in the House, we're still dealing with the same bill number. The number doesn't change. It's not suddenly called House bill. It's just, it started in the Senate, so that's why it's called Senate bill. But it's received then in the House, repeats the same process. Referred to an appropriate committee that deals with that area of policy. If it's then voted out of committee successfully, it then goes to the full House, where it can receive first consideration, and then on a separate session day, second consideration. After 2 considerations, it then is referred to the House Appropriations Committee, where again, further review is done, fiscal impact is assessed, and then the bill has to be successfully voted out of Appropriations Committee. That sends it back to the full House floor, setting it up then for the potential of a third and final vote in the House. If it's successfully voted by a majority of members in the House, the bill can then go to the governor's desk. One caveat, part 3. If the bill is amended in the House, it has to go back to the Senate for what's called a concurrence vote. That's where the Senate has to review the amendments that the House made and vote that, yes, we agree to these. If they don't, then the bill stalls there. But if they do, then the bill can go to the governor's desk. Once the bill is on the governor's desk, he then has 3 options. He can sign the bill. He can veto the bill. Or he can take no action. And if he takes no action after 10 days, 10 calendar days, the bill automatically becomes a law. So now that we've reviewed the process, let's talk about why it's important to advocate. Professional advocacy provides you with an opportunity to take ownership and have a say in what's expected of you as a professional. At this current time, there are no licensed SLPs or audiologists that are members of the Pennsylvania State Legislature. So even though some of them may have had experience with your profession, they aren't actual professionals who've received your education and your credentialing and, have treated patients. So they really do rely on associations like yours to, educate them about what's important and what you're seeing in the field and in your areas of practice, what challenges you're facing, what's working well, and what state government can do to kind of tweak things to make access to care better and to make your practice easier. Some roles that you can play if you're interested in becoming more active in advocacy. Attend PSHA's advocacy events. They do a phenomenal day on the Hill in usually kind of late spring, early summer. And then we've also, discussed opportunities to do events more, located where you're at in your hometown, where you can, do meetings with your local elected, your own representative and senator back there too. Written communications are also very, very important. And I think other speakers later on will talk about the platform that PSHA is using to do emails and letters and social media alerts on legislative issues of interest. Op-eds are another opportunity where you can be a voice for the population that you serve. But no matter which avenue for advocacy that you choose, the good things to remember, is to be prepared. PSHA will provide you with materials for whatever the ask is that they're asking you to do. So please review that. Make sure you're comfortable with it. Ask questions back if you need more clarification. But you want to make sure that you are being a good source of information on behalf of the organization. You also want to personalize your message. In this day and age, form letters are no one's favorite. So, we want to make sure we're sharing personal anecdotes along with the ask that we're making. We want to go easy on the jargon. Like I said, no current SLPs and very few healthcare professionals actually serving in the state legislature. So we always want to make sure that we're being mindful of acronyms and jargon. You should know both sides of the issue. If there's opposition, it's okay to talk about that and kind of talk through why you're asking what you're asking and what the benefits are. You always want to be polite. You want to ask for a response. You always want to kind of follow up with a thank you and a little recap of what you discussed. If you're interested in looking up who your own legislator is, you can just go to the Pennsylvania State Legislature's website. They'll have a Find My Legislator tab at the top. You type in your address, hit submit. You can either select your county or the most precise way is to actually enter your physical address. If you want, you can look at where you live and where you work, just in case those are going to be different people. But once you do that, once you complete that process, your House and Senate member will be listed. It's also where you can find your member of Congress, and our 2 U.S. senators are listed there too. A little bit more detail on the legislative meeting. I know I already covered this briefly, so I won't belabor it, but prepare your key points and the materials that you want to share. Make sure you've reviewed those materials so you feel comfortable. If you're attending with colleagues, kind of chat beforehand about who in your group is going to be responsible for each talking point. That way, everyone gets a say, everyone gets a chance to share. And maybe if someone has a personal anecdote that's related to what you're discussing that day, make sure you build some time in your approach to kind of include that story too. Once you're in the meeting, be punctual, be polite, be clear about what you want to discuss. As I said, share some personal stories or share data to support what you're advocating for. Thank them for their time at the end of the meeting. Make sure you're writing down any questions that they have, or if there's any follow-up that's needed, and then always send a thank you note via email. Email is usually easiest. You might meet with your actual representative or senator. You also might meet with office staff, or you might meet with some combination of both. All of those are okay. Obviously, it's very exciting to meet your representative or your senator personally and get that one-on-one attention. But especially if you're coming to Harrisburg or even in the district, honestly, their schedules have a lot of pressure on them, especially when they're here in Harrisburg. They're being pulled in a lot of directions. They've got to attend session. They have to attend committee meetings. They have to be voting on things that are, there's a lot of crunches on their time. So oftentimes they will ask their staff to take meetings on their behalf, take notes. Those staff are highly trained people who, really genuinely mostly ask thoughtful questions. So we should never feel like you're being, you're receiving a lesser quality because you're meeting with staff. That's simply not the case. And their job is then to distill that information and, give it to their boss for review and communication back. Again, a couple of tips for success. Golden rule: be as kind as you would want someone to be to you. Be on time, but be ready for anything, as I said, especially if it's in the Capitol. Those session days get really busy and sometimes they'll be running late. And that's okay. You can just kind of be flexible and go with the flow, but make sure that you're on time. Don't be disappointed if you're meeting with staff, which we covered. Introductions are important. Sometimes you can get into a meeting and get, hi, we're here to talk about, and then just go. But always kind of take a moment, talk about, introduce yourself, introduce the team you're with, mention where you're from, and a little bit about your practice. Start off on a positive note, end with a thank you for their time. Keep it brief. We tell people, try to plan for 10 to 15 minutes. If you get more, that's wonderful. But make sure that your message, your elevator pitch that you've prepared fits in that time window. Make sure you're personalizing. This is especially true for if you're doing written communication or making a phone call. A personal note goes a long way towards differentiating and getting a response back. Let them talk. If you're on a phone call or if you're in a meeting, after you've said what you have to say, kind of pause, sit back. If they don't say anything right away, say, do you have any questions about that? Or are you hearing about this from in your district from constituents? Kind of make sure we get them talking as well. Stay on topic. It can be very these are people that are highly skilled in talking and, highly personable people as elected officials. So the conversation can kind of take some interesting turns, and that's okay to a degree. We just always want to make sure we're bringing it back to the topic at hand. Stick to your roles. If you've already said ahead of time that one person on the team is going to do the introductions, one person's going to kind of tell the story, one person's going to make sure they're writing questions down. Just make sure if you're the writing the questions down person, make sure you're actually doing that. It's okay to say, I don't know. If you're asked a question, if it's really technical or if it's just not your area of expertise, it's okay to say, I don't know. That's a really great follow-up on, kind of a natural second point of contact for that office. We never want to exaggerate or overstate our points. We always want to avoid jargon and acronyms when possible. Don't forget what you're asking for at the end of the meeting, and always take notes, get business cards, especially if you meet with staff, make sure you get the business cards so you can send the thank you back to them. Thank you so much.